This was the smallest Amstrad setup you could get in 1986. And I got it because of the great graphics functions in the BASIC and this guy here, the game Batman. To my room tour part 2. In this part, which is also divided into chapters, we're going to take a look at the Amstrad Cpc series of computers that I have, and most of them I only have about a week or some days. So let's start with the books and the magazines, and most of these I didn't have a week ago. So let's start. This is the manual for the Amstrad Cpc464. It was called Schneider in Germany, or it was sold by Schneider, which was a company which did audio equipment like stereos and stuff like that. And they did the same stereo integration that Amstrad did in the UK. So cheap audio equipment for teenagers, I guess, and families. Just like the C64 manual, this goes into great detail when it comes to BASIC and stuff like that. There are many programs in here, and I learned a lot from this book alone. Actually, I didn't have any other books about the CPC back in the days, so this was my one source of information. And as you can see, it's the Cpc464, which is the one with the integrated cassette deck. And this is actually the color monitor, but I did have the green monitor, so I would have pretty much killed for this monitor. The same is available for the 6128, which is the one with the disk drive, and that was completely unaffordable for me. So I had the one with the cassette drive. I later got the additional disk drive for this one, which we will also see in an upcoming video. And this manual is even thicker, as you may see. And that is because it does not only cover BASIC and stuff like that, but also the CP/M part, because the Cpc6128 was probably the cheapest machine that could do CP/M, which was quite popular back in the days. And as you can see, it shows Amstrad, which is the disk operating system, which is built into the 6128 but not into the 464. And it has an introduction to logo and an introduction to CP/M. And it also goes into detail about some of the hardware stuff inside this machine. So these were quite thick books, and I loved these books, just browsing through them, typing in the basic programs that were in here. And I did program the Cpc464 only in BASIC. I actually wrote a game which was published in a magazine back in the day, and they gave me money for that, and I don't exactly recall how we did that, but I was quite inventive for a 12-year-old, so I somehow managed to do that. So these are the manuals, and I really like them. The big spiral binding and stuff like that, it's just awesome. And I just got this manual with the actual Cpc6128, and that is my, no, this is my manual, which I bought off of eBay because I don't own any of my old machines, and now I have 2 of these books. And the second one will go with the second Cpc464 I have, and I even have a cert. So these are the manuals. Then there's a manual that comes with the DDI1 drive, which is the external floppy drive, which is a 3-inch floppy drive. And this manual covers the AMS-DOS commands and some of the CPC stuff. So this is basically some of the chapters of this book which are missing in this book. So these are the manuals that I have. Then there are 3 books, and this is a series. As you might see, this is volume 1, 2, and 3. I've never heard of these books or this publisher, but I did buy all the things, the CPC stuff, from a guy called Matthias, and he told me that his father was a teacher, so I assume this is somehow school related. I didn't even know that CPC was a thing in schools, but there are a lot of programs that are math oriented, and I guess that that is what these are about. These books are from '85, so this one is about graphics, this one is about data management, and this one is about CPM. So they're actually kind of companion books to the original to the original manuals. I don't quite recall. Oh, here is even some assembly stuff in here. So I assume this is the only reason why these exist, because they actually add something to the original manuals. So this is about the CPM part. This one, let's take a quick look. Yeah, it's pretty much the MS-DOS manual in part, and then how to read and write data from and to the floppy, and this is all basic. Don't think there's any machine language in here. No, it's all in basic. So this could pretty much be done, I guess, with this book, but who knows. And the graphics one is also purely basic. Let's take a quick look what it does. There are many programs in here, which is the index for the programs. And you can do joystick stuff. And I guess there was even a hardware project in here, which is interesting because maybe we can build that. So what is this? EloCAD, a drawing program. Ah, okay. So this is not a hardware project. This is a program to draw these hardware diagrams. I see. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So these are these. Then we have a whole bunch of these famous or infamous Data Becker books. I already told you about these, or about Data Becker, in the C64 room tour in part 1. Data Becker, or Mr. Becker, was a famous luxury car dealer in Germany, and he founded Data Becker in Düsseldorf, Germany, as a publisher, and he did software and books. And these are some of the Amstrad Cpc books. So now I have a stack of Amstrad Cpc books. And this is called CPC Adventures and how to make them on the 464. Or how to program them on the 464. And as you can see, that is almost all either text or some basic programs. Here come the programs. So if you're interested in doing adventures on the Cpc464 in BASIC, that might be your book. Next up, we have Cpc464 Graphics and Sound. And again, this looks like a complete BASIC tutorial to that. And that is not big of a mystery or wonder, I think, because when I sold my C64 to get a Cpc464, I did this purely out of one reason, and that is to have better BASIC to program graphics. And the CPC offered that, and the C64 was just lacking all the graphics commands, and since I wasn't able to do machine language or assembly back in the day, that was my way of using my creativity and doing some programming, and I did a game, so that actually worked. I don't think there's anything great in here. It's talking about sprites. Don't even recall if the CPC had hardware sprites. Whatever. So next up we have the Cpc464 tips and tricks, and this is pretty much like the C64 tips and tricks. There's all kinds of miscellaneous stuff like border color switching and stuff like that. You have graphics, sound, machine language, useful routines, and some programs like Catch the Bomb or Battleships. So this actually does go a little into detail about the machine language part. Scrolling of parts of the screen, waiting for a key, stuff like that. Yeah, interesting book. Then we have another classic, Peeks and Pokes, this time not for the C64 but for the Cpc. And again, oh, what's that? That's actually a certificate. Oh, look at that. There's the Cpc464 Certificate for Computer Systems. So normally the your CPC dealer should sign this and put in a purchase date and his name. And it does say here what's included in the package. And according to this, he bought the Cpc464, the GT64, which is the first version of the green monitor, and the CTM6040, which is the first version of the color monitor. So this is pretty much the ownership certificate. Nice. Always great to find stuff like that. And it's blank, so you could theoretically become a dealer, put in a purchase date, and claim a warranty, I guess, or not. Yeah, so what kind of pokes do we have? We have memory, screen, graphics, interrupts, sound, basic, disk drive, printer, joystick. We have the cassette tape and miscellaneous other machine language stuff. So that is not the classic peeks and pokes like on the C64, where you could also have some game pokes. This looks a little bit different. And then we have the last book in the stack, which is the Cpc464 Basic Programs. And I guess that is pretty much self-explanatory. It gives you some basic programs, and you have a graphics editor, a sound editor, a text editor, some memory stuff, memory dump, hex dump. You have font editor, programming in BASIC, calendar, data management, few games. Yeah, well, Cpc464 Basic Programs, the last book on the stack. Then we have some magazines, and I also got these in the bundle from Matthias. And first up we have the new das neue Schneider Aktiv, the new Schneider Active, the independent magazine for Schneider computer, which is Amstrad. And this set you back 6 Deutschmarks back in the day, and this is the issue number 3 from March of '87. You have the classic mix of game reviews, some listings printed on this rather ugly paper. I never got why they did that. And then you have some hardware reviews, tips and tricks, and some ads, and that was it. And they tell you, earn money with your computer. We pay up to 1,000 Deutschmarks. You have a Cpc 464 or 664 or 6128 or a Joyce. You can program in BASIC or machine language. Then Schneider Active gives you the ability to make money from your hobby. How? It's easy. You send us the programs that you think should be printed, along with a short description and the hardware and extensions that we used, we need a data cassette or a diskette. If we like the program, we pay up to 300 Deutschmarks. If you do the listing des Monats, which is the program of the month, you get 1000 Deutschmarks. You get back your cassette or disc, which was quite important because these discs were quite expensive, these 3-inch discs. If you send us an envelope with your address and the postage needed to send it back to you. And you have to guarantee with your signature that it is your program and you didn't copy it. And here's the form that you have to put in there, and there's even the address. So it's a Postfach, which is a PO box, pretty much. And back in the day, you had Postfach, which was for the professionals, the companies, who didn't want to receive the mail in their office, so they would give you a Postfach. And you had Postlagernd, which was the way all the crackers and hackers and guys worked, because they had a card, pink card, which was a Postlager card, and you could go to your local post office and grab your stuff. You didn't have to give a name or anything, so you stayed completely anonymous when receiving your packages. And back in the day, there were even raids from the police waiting in front of the post offices for the crackers to grab their disc that were sent from wherever, and trying to stop these copying and cracking of games. Yeah, I had a few friends who did that, and I myself did crack a few games back in the day, but I wasn't the greatest cracker or hacker or anything like that back then, so I mostly watched from afar. Good, next up we have the Schneider International, das führende Schneider Magazin, which I guess is still not the official magazine, if there was any. By the way, these 4 magazines are all from different publishers, so there was quite a variety of magazines back in the day. And yeah, same here. This time we don't have the ugly paper, it's all printed on glossy paper, and we even have some hardware projects. This is an analog interface to put some sensors in. And we have the classic They Stole a Million, which I showed in the C64 video. And here you had a variety of Amstrad or Schneider computers. So it's for the Cpc, the Joyce, and the PC1512, which was the PC variant, and the Joyce, which was kind of a text or word processing computer. Perry Frechtig did a video about this because he owned one of these back in the days. This is, by the way, the Joyce. There's a green monitor, keyboard. I guess the machine is inside the monitor, and you have a 3-inch floppy drive up there. And this is a Cpc, the PC, the Amstrad PC. And you had to have the monitor because I guess, if I recall correctly, the monitor gave you the power for the machine itself. Yeah, there were game reviews, there were a lot of ads, so you could always see what you couldn't afford, which was kind of nice and depressing at the same time. And you had the famous Data Becker books, of which we don't have one right now. Yeah, and the listings and tests and stuff like that. There was a lot of stuff going on back in the day, and the Amstrad wasn't even, or the Schneider wasn't even the most popular computer in Germany. But still, I guess it sold 2 or 3 million in Germany. I'm not quite sure. Something about that. Then we have Schneider magazine, Cpc. But there's also PC1512, Joyce, and Vortex was a very popular maker of hardware extensions for the Cpc. not quite sure if I can find that. Ah, here it is. So you have some stuff from Vortex, and they made all kinds of accessories for the CPC. It even looks like a hard disk. It is a hard disk. Okay. There was a hard disk for the CPC? That is crazy. And it cost 3,298 Deutschmark, which is a lot of money. Yeah, and the usual assortment of data backer books. Then we have Schneider International. Wait, did we have that already? No. This is Cpc Schneider International, and this is PC Schneider International. So this is a pure CPC magazine, and this is from June 68, and this is from January 87, and this is from October 86. So pretty much same. Lots of listings, and the Vortex ad. No hard drive there. Mail order software. And a friend of mine had one of these mail order shops, and we did computer fairs together and sold lots of games on these fairs in the good old days. Oh, look at that. That is pretty much the internet of June 86. And it shows you how to make a SCART adapter or a SCART cable for your CPC. Stuff you would today just Google. Interesting. And I actually have one of these SCART cables around. So great. And the usual assortment of books. And look, we even have some of these books here, I guess. Peeks and Pokes. Do we have the Peeks and Pokes books already? Yeah, we have the Peeks and Pokes. Do we have the Tips and Tricks? We have the Tips and Tricks. Do we have the Graphics and Sound? Yes, we do. But there's no adventures. Do we have the basic programming? Let me see. Nope. Yeah, so someone really meant business when buying all these data backer books. Yeah, that pretty much concludes the part about, or the chapter about books and magazines that I have. And this is Retro is Your New Black. If you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and until next time.